What up? This is Mason Adams, and I was in that band.
What's up, Mason?
What's up,
It's
Grady?
me, Grady, yeah.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I'm glad you're here. Welcome.
Good. Thank you for having me.
What's going on? I know you got like kind of your lineup of map solidified.
Yes, finally, the roster is solidified, and yeah, have had about a month of rehearsals, and so yeah, we're already in talks about that coming back date and getting a bunch of material in. So yeah, I'm pumped. It was a ride there for several months. So.
Yeah, that seemed that was like the end of the year. It kind of
So yeah, I mean, beginning we knew that there was going to be some changes and that we were going to have to find some new members at the end of the year, and then we played the last full band show was January 24th of this year. So yeah, so then it's just been this week. We've been calling it musician speed dating.
Yeah.
Just auditioning and trying out and trying to find the right pieces. And, it took a little bit longer than I expected. I was a little beat up overall just by the process, but yeah, now we're good and ready to move forward.
It's rough. That like uncertain feeling of not having everything in place is hard.
Big time. And I was just so sheltered from all of it initially and for a long time. I mean, for the first 5 years of MAP, everybody was the same.
Mm-hmm.
Never had to change anybody, se. We might have had a sub bass player a couple of times or had a sub guitar player. I think after the birth of my son, they played a MAP show without me a few days after that. And that was wild. It was like watching a tribute to myself almost.
Interesting.
It's kind of wild. But, we didn't have to change anybody. And so for the first 5 years, we just trucked, and it didn't have that kind of stress or concern, and then whenever, we just decided to kind of put that chapter in that chapter. And, that was the first time I was like on the hunt for new musicians, to be in the project.
Yeah. How did the project come together?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing guitar, I'd just say later in life, I guess, than most. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I always wanted to. My dad's a guitar player. Family is musical. Lots of musicians, amateur to pro in my family. And so it's always been a thing. I tried to play guitar when I was a kid, had every excuse why I wasn't able to, small hands and everything else.
Right.
But then, my parents, they bought me a drum kit when I was 10. And so I drummed, percussionist in band in school and stuff like that, and then, played some bass guitar, was in, a band in high school and played bass and stuff. But yeah, I didn't start playing guitar until 28. It didn't take me long to, kind of progress. But once I could put 3 chords together, I pretty much started writing my own songs, and then I kind of had this group of songs, list of songs that I felt like, I don't know, needed to be heard, by other people. And so, yeah, did a couple like the open mic things and stuff, but, really wanted that full band experience and sound and everything else. So I thought, well, maybe, I'm not good enough guitar player to go play in anybody else's band at this point, but if I get really good at playing my songs, maybe other people would want to play in a band with me.
Sure.
So yeah, just started kind of forming, that way. Just, landed on the right people at the right time, that were willing to give it a go with me. I kind of initially thought that there would be kind of this, maybe a rotating cast,
Yeah.
But it never played out like that. Everybody just stayed. So that was good. Yeah, that was good.
Do you think did you like get into playing the guitar specifically to write, or did it happen the other way around where you were playing and then songs started kind of happening?
No, I mean, I've always been a writer. And I don't think that I started to play guitar because I wanted to write guitar songs. I just think that that was what felt that was natural for me already. Going back to college and, late in high school and college and rapping and producing mixtapes and doing small college tours and shows, Mace Dog, MASDOGG,
Okay.
it's, it was a poet, published poet at a young age, always good at story writing and different things, so, I've always been a writer. And then, writing, rap verses and this type of thing kind of helped me just, hone that, I guess, over, through college years and early adulthood and stuff. And then, so that part just came naturally, I think, just wanting to create and write to the guitar music that I was then creating was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been super curious about the production of rap, hip hop music, and like how that, if you got these words, you got this idea, you obviously play the drums and played bass. You sort of understand the inner workings of songs already, or at least how to put them together, or at least in some sort of structure. Were you into the production of your own music at that time?
So no.
Okay.
Not really. Yes and no, right? There was beat software and, I would do that, but most of the beats we were either buying from people who were already making beats or getting them from SoundCloud that were free beats, these type of things.
Cool.
But then yes, when you're familiar with song structure and whatever, and if this rap song's going to be a club banger or whatever, and it's going to come in with the big chorus and there's going to be a verse, and there's going to be a chorus, and, that's, I don't know. I don't ever feel like I had to put too much thought into finding the structure of the song or, figuring out how that goes, I guess, especially with, American pop music, all of that is so ingrained in you that this is verse, chorus, bridge, out, chorus, out,
Sure. Right.
So that, those things, I don't think I ever really had to try to focus or be like, this is how a song goes Okay.
So is the approach now different with the guitar, or is it kind of the same?
It's kind of the same.
Interesting.
It totally is.
That's so cool to know.
Except for, I would say, primarily most of the time for me, for like rap stuff, I would always write to the beat every time. I had a lot of friends and rappers that I knew that could just rap verses and put them in their phone or write them down and not even have a beat, per se yet. But then when they get to a beat, then they're like, oh, well, this was kind of the flow of what I wrote. Right. So like, that's two different ways, I guess, on the rap side. But on the guitar side, I've done it both ways, right? Like you can sit at home and figure out the chord progression of, okay, well, this is, and then put lyrics to that. Or, now, I mean, just the melodies that are in your head, every song's got a melody, and every time I feel like you have song lyrics in your head and whatever you're thinking, there's some melody attached to that in some form, right? And so that's what you're trying to dig out of at that point. And that's where I still need to grow, right? Because where I can sing the melodies good and get the lyrics down without having the guitar part written, it takes me longer to then figure out what key the song's going to be in and what the chords are going to be if I'm writing the lyrics and stuff first. So it kind of both ways, kind of both ways.
Yeah, that's fascinating to think about, especially because I think everybody who creates probably has some form of notes that they take, and I've got voice memos. I haven't written or even tried to write a song in like 20 years.
Wow.
But I still have I still keep ideas going as
Uh-huh.
though at some point
Yeah.
I'm going to write another one.
Sure.
I don't know when, and
Sure.
maybe it won't happen. But I guess I'm astute enough to know when an idea does come, I should put it down, because from my experience, typically when I had a good idea, the thing would kind of write itself if I was open and I kind of gave it
Okay.
time.
Sure.
And so I'm I'm always throwing something down to maybe I'll go back through and go, oh yeah, that idea was kind of this,
Yeah,
and
no,
I'll
that's
just
a
sort of
best practice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a best practice for a writer. Yeah, I mean, I used to handwrite everything, um, always lyrics and stuff, and have now. I mean, it's mostly exclusive digital. It's mostly on my phone. I
Mm-hmm.
just got all my notes, all my voice memos, all my lyrics, all my one lines, everything. Is in there, um, and I that part has been my strength, I guess, is what I've been able to bring to Map and to the musicians that are in the band with me. Is that like, I have been able to put out a bunch of songs and some good ones, and we were able to build, a pretty nice catalog of original tunes,
Mm-hmm.
that I was, putting out. And, there's something, I don't know. I don't, the things weren't forced. I don't feel like I was forcing things to finish some of these songs early on and stuff, but definitely there was a little bit more just pressure for me to try to get us more songs in. Also, like as a band leader, you want to keep things fresh, and so having that new tune to work on always kind of provides that little bit of motivation, and the next week type thing. So I always tried to do that, and to that point, like, like, we never we still don't play like the same set or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's also, where we go with the, leaning the jam band way, is that, you weren't ever going to show up and have the same set or hear the same show twice,
Yeah.
type thing. Yeah. The song anyway. So felt pressured at that point to get songs out, but it's truly like a ride the wave thing. And I've written some songs really fast, like 20-30 minute songs,
Mm-hmm.
and then like one I just finished, recently, that was like a 6 or 8 month song,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I mean, um, I've been pretty, just out there on social media about my struggles with writing block and things at times too, and not being able to complete songs and stuff like that. Like, I've been frustrated by it, and
Mm-hmm.
like, everybody trust the process. And, like for me, I guess part of that process is trusting, and then getting really mad, and then voicing these things, and then, eventually, I get to a point. But, just I was just thinking on the drive over here, just like I'm on summer break right now. And so this is like, my creative period, really, because, like, man, how good of a writer, or how productive and creative could I be if I didn't have to work for a living, don't quit your day job till your night job pay, and
Yeah.
so that's, everybody who would listen to this and who has been through that, and is, works a day job and then tries to be a musician at night and whatever, like, that's the struggle too, and trying to find those times to say, this is my creative time, and I'm going to try to get juices out. I'm also I think I've diagnosed myself with adult ADHD. I've probably had this for a long time, but my ability to stay focused on one thing, and I mean, that's why, I mean, a lot of my even sparks, creative moments and stuff like that will come, whenever walking down the hall at work, or, wake up in the middle of the night, or, whatever, watching the football game on Sunday or whatever. And I mean, it's just, I'll just maybe get that next line or something. What's neat about having all the digital forms in there is that you can, if you don't have the line for this song you are working on, maybe you can swipe over a couple of, and then now you're like, okay, new song, maybe I could find something to work on it. Just kind of same thing. It kind of keeps it fresh. I'm constantly working on what is, seems like 50 songs or something at times, right? But
Yeah.
it's very ADHD, but also like there's a lot going on there where like at some point the projects will start to wrap themselves up. The songs will get completed. Sometimes it's just that one line and it sits there forever until, something happens or doesn't happen, Yeah, it's yeah, it's cool.
So your primary songwriter, band's got your name on it. Is it collaborative like as well?
So completely. And I've struggled with this whole have my name on it thing, at times. Like it's I've never wanted to be like, this is my band and I don't whatever. It's our band, it's been like that since the beginning, and it's weird, like I feel like basically I am just the facilitator and like to be able to get these musicians together, to be creative. Like that's truly how I kind of see it. And the thing is that like, I bring the song into the band and maybe there's a scratch track or maybe there's not, that they can hear it. Or I just say, well, it goes like this. And I start playing it, and then everybody finds their own way, is able to do what they want. I've never really like outlined parts or, anything like it truly. I've been like, should we change the name? I've asked all iterations of the band this before. Like, do we change the name? But we've worked so hard to kind of get.
Yeah. Well, you got to call it something.
Well, and that's
at the end of the day, that's what you're always going to arrive at.
Right, and we're MAP, and that's I think moving forward, and especially with this, this group, we're going to use MAP, the acronym, a lot more than we will use Mason Adams Project too, just to kind of lean on that.
I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but at the same token, my name's on it. I mean, it takes somebody to motivate and push forward and keep everything going all the time, and
that was going to be, I kind of had a two-headed thing, which was one is you have to call it something, and someone has to lead.
Yeah.
You can't really is collaborative or whatever you want to call it, open you want to be, someone has to make decisions, someone has to be the kind of the person, and if you started it, it's going to be you by default, and that's sort of just how it happens.
It's kind of me by default, and that's it's like when everything goes great, it's like okay, well, it's Mason Adams Project, it's like when everything goes bad, it's like it's
Mason. Yeah. I mean, seriously,
and so it's just kind of the cross to bear, right?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Are you like when you have an idea, you bring something in? Are you tough to please, or are you pretty open, or have you had moments of both?
Maybe some moments of both. I would say, a large part of the amicable, disbandment of, the first iteration of MAP was just, I mean, truly everybody says creative differences, but it kind of was like, I feel like I had, over those, 5-6 years have evolved, just as a musician and as a writer, a performer, and, kind of have a general idea of, a direction that I think we're wanting to go. At times there would be, other members of the band that would feel kind of committed, like to me or with me, that like, yes, we could do these type of performances, or, I just feel like sometimes there was reluctancy to want to push the envelope, to jam, to get creative, to make it a little bit weird, to, these type of things, pushing boundaries and playing songs different, and, these type of things sometimes. And so, now I feel like even you know, it was just, you know, I had grown, I feel like, and it was time to do something different. And there was other, you know, there was babies being born and, you know, people getting married and all sorts. So like I say, it was just time at that point, you know, to kind of do something different. But, yeah. So, you know, no, I tried to allow, even say now, if we're putting in a song that was 5 years old or whatever, you know, with the new bunch, you know, I'm like, look, like what you hear, like a studio recording, you know, like that's just your baseline, you know, like that's just to give you an idea, you know. I'm like, take all liberties, any and all liberties you want, you know, that if you think it's going to sound good, you know, do it, you know.
Have you done the opposite, like had someone bring an idea in and wanted you to kind of be write words and
not really. So even we recorded as Mason Adams Project 2 songs that were written by Gil Altum, and we put those out on our album, and they're just damn good songs, you know. And so, you know,
he sing as well.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Gil's a great singer, and he sang lead on those tunes, cool. You know. And so yeah, that was cool. And you know, Gil's a good songwriter, but he's you know, just doesn't put songs you know, and it just that's,
there's a lot of great bands who have that guy who will toss in one or two absolutely. On a record or not.
Absolutely.
And that's great. Yeah. I think I've always liked, you know, bands with multiple singers. That I just think it kind of moves a record along. You know, having that one person you can relate with and go, you know, man, whoever it is, if it's Bruce or Bob or Tom or whoever, you have that, you're connected to them. But I like the Beatles and I like the band and I like Grateful Dead and where things do tend to, it just moves it along for some reason. I can't really qualify why, it just is, you know.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and in this, you know, MAP 2.0 or wherever we're at now, you know, that's Jordan Stoltz. You know, he's the lead guitar player, and you know, Jordan has a bunch of songs too. But and we will also, you know, get to Jordan's songs. You know, we'll start playing, you know, his tunes and stuff, and you know, it's just been a time thing, right? So like Jordan's been with me for, you know, 18 months, you know, going on 2 years. You know, we played a bunch of shows in 24 together, you know, and love Jordan. He's awesome, you know. But even last year, you know, we went through two separate keyboard players, and I just felt like we were chasing our tail a lot. Like we had 30 songs in, you know, that we could kind of choose from. And, you know, as a band and stuff, we're playing good shows and things, but I just felt like, you know, we were playing more older songs, or you know, the original stuff. We didn't really get to put on a lot of new things.
Weren't growing.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, growing musically, like we were playing the songs really good. We just weren't adding to the catalog and things as much. We were playing different covers, you know, and, you know, some like that. But there's I've got an album ready, you know, an album of songs that no band has touched, you know, basically. There's Tanqueray we've played out, Sand we've played out, and Running Through the Night. Like those are 3 new tunes that I really like, that I'm excited about, that the band's been playing out. But there's still, I mean, there was like, coming out of the pandemic, I had this big bunch of songs, you know, and like a few of them are really good. Then a few months after that, I had a big bunch of songs, and then a few of them were really good, you know. And so a lot of these, like, we just never got there, you know, to put them in with what was the band for 2024, you know. So so that's, I'm really looking forward to with this bunch. Like, we've started on the old catalog because these are the tried and trues, and they're, you know, should work up faster, but you know, got some of the harder ones in already too, you know. But that's the goal here, is that we're about to start putting in all this new stuff too, because these new songs deserve to be heard too. They're really good. I'm excited about them.
What you said jam band, that is a pretty open term, that that speaks to approach, but what's really like your inspiration music wise? What are the things that really made you say like, I want to play guitar, I want to write songs and maybe take them in this direction? Are there
I'm first and foremost just a live music junkie, and have been pretty much my whole life, and my parents started taking me to see live music when I was real young. And then they were on a chili cook-off team. And so we went to every Texas Country Music Festival and chili cook-off, that's anywhere close to Bonham, Texas, for many years.
Awesome.
And I was standing front row for, lots of legends and greats. And, I've just always been drawn to the stage and wanting to, I don't know, be up there, and perform. If you would have asked me about the possibility or potential or any of this, just 10 years ago, I'd have been like, you're crazy, because this wouldn't have at all been accessible to me a decade ago, because I didn't even play the guitar, This thing snowballed, Grady. Like when I say I started writing songs, and then within like 2 years, the band had formed.
Okay.
Right? 2 years. So think about also how green I am at that, right? Like I've never played a band show, but here I am. I'm the band leader, and we're playing my songs. I've only been playing the instrument for a couple years, and now I'm trying to remember how to play guitar, trying to sing the songs, which I never thought I'd be able to sing a song and play at the same time when I started out, right? So there was just so much going on in my head at all times, ADD, ADHD stuff, right? Where like, I was able to, progress and get better and do all these things. But like, also I felt like I was like, I don't like, almost like in the boiler all the time, just like, just like in my brain, now, just as a musician, I'm obviously more comfortable, more confident, more competent, and I just relax more, and it just, you look back at some of the old stuff, and shows and stuff, like, oh gosh, Mason, tune your guitar. Oh gosh, Mason, you sound horrible. Oh gosh, Mason, but also and the original OG crew will tell you that like, I never really thought I'd be a singer, or that I would be the singer or whatever. Like they had to have kind of a come to Jesus meeting with me one time. Like, dude, you need to sing better. And I'm like, I'm not a singer, and the drummer, Peter, at the time, he's like, you have been paid for vocal performance. He's like, you are a singer. And so that, I think that kind of, hit me. But that was kind of a weird thing too, because at a young age, I was in like church choir and choir in school, right? And I could sing. When I hit puberty, I don't know what happened, but it was just like all went away. Like my exes, like one of them, like she'd say like, you're tone deaf. Like, you can't hold a note. And I'm like, I used to be able to sing good, and really though, playing guitar is what gave me my voice back. Being able to hear everything so close. And, when I first started that journey, I was playing guitar 8 hours a day, for a lot of time,
Yeah.
And so, but and then, like I say, never thought I'd be able to actually sing and play at the same time, because that's a lot going on. But then it just starts to click, and start to be able to get those things out, and then my voice has just gotten better and stronger, and so that's been cool too, is being able to sing again.
Well, yeah, I think as it gets, it's just like anything, you kind of, if you water it and it grows, then you're like, okay, well, I'll keep taking care of this. And I think anything musical is that way. If you go, oh, well, I need to work on this, and then you do, and then you're able to see a noticeable change in it that you affected, then that is very affirming, and it gives you confidence to go, okay, well, I can keep kind of chasing this.
And that's in business, right? What is measured is improved, right? If you measure something, and you can see that, it's improving, it's getting better, it's moving in a positive direction, that just provides the additional encouragement to, hey, we're doing the right things here. Maybe this is the, right thing to keep doing. I was, lucky and unlucky, I guess, to have that kind of time available to me in my late 20s to be able to kind of start, this, musician route, and like being able to play guitar. It was a good thing at that time of life, I guess, just to be able to pick up the instrument and spend a day with it and stuff like that.
Why jam music? What, like, as a writer and someone who's putting across the songs, what makes you want to jam?
Well, yeah, and so this is it all along. It has been, I think I've wanted us to be able to just jam and improvise, because to me, that's when music is most exciting. The thing is that I feel like I write really good songs too. And they're relatable on other levels. It's almost like, well, like Sturgill says, like, we're not a jam band, but we're a band that jams, kind of, right? Because, I do want the compositions of the songs to be heard and the vocals to be heard, and, and that, but then there's songs that, we want to extend and improvise on and, get weird and do these things, and it's not, I don't think it's going to be every song for us at all. I still think we're going to have a 3-minute song, that's going to be in there. And, it's just, that's, I feel like from my experience, there are no more dedicated fans than jam band fans. Like, they're the ones that will go see 5 shows a week, not 5 concerts a year, type people, to each their own. But that's also the kind of just following or like grassroots kind of community that I seek to kind of develop or gain, just people who are just really into live music and, improvisational rock and roll and having a good time. And, so yeah, I think that's why it's the excitement. It's being able to create a moment, that's what I call it all the time. Like, man, that was a moment, Yeah. And, I've, kind of outlined it as like a Map fan truly is like, this is going to sound weird, but like somewhere in between Taylor Swift and Jerry Garcia band is like a Map fan, right? Because I feel like we have very good songs, relatable lyrics, almost like a little bit of something for everybody. Our sets are unique and they're cool. And like, maybe you're not like the whole thing, but my thing is like, if you could say that you saw a set of music and you didn't find something in that set that like you didn't like, man, like that's kind of rough, because in a Map show, you're getting country, folk, Americana, reggae, rock and roll, rap, hip hop. I mean, you're going to get the gambit, truly, like it just is kind of this melting pot.
Yeah. I'm looking at this, this cap, hillbilly hippie funk. I've seen it on the bass drum head.
Yeah.
It's got a Texas thing. So like a lot of information, like there's a lot of information being given. When you're going out to play to like a new audience, is that a little bit of a like signifier to those people?
I mean, it is now. Yeah, I mean, that's, if somebody asked me, I mean, people this weekend, I got to go see the Disco Biscuits this weekend in Asheville, North Carolina. And so that was amazing. But I had, people, well, what kind of music do y'all play? And I said, well, hillbilly hippie funk, that's the genre, and so, yeah, I mean, and, it's, at first it was more country red dirt, folk ish, but I feel like a lot of that was me putting three chords on the truth together and playing to my abilities. And, we're, just
that's the hillbilly part.
That was the hillbilly kind of countryish part. And, it's only country because I sound a little country, I'm from Bonham, I grew up in Northeast Texas. And so I, got a draw and, and we even, I guess we have a couple of country songs that we play.
I hear the red dirt influence. Absolutely. For sure. It's there.
Yeah.
So what's and then hippie?
Yeah, that's improvising and extending and weird synth sounds and the psychedelic groove and that's that part. I guess you can throw in the reggae bounce to that a little bit too, and Yeah.
And then funk.
And then funk. Yeah. I mean, we get a little funky, also the hip hop feel and, is a little bit funky at times. And, it's it's kind of all encompassing. Like I say, a little bit something for everybody. Like if you can't take something that you didn't enjoy some part of the show or something, it's like, wow.
What if you put hardcore in front, hardcore hillbilly hippie funk.
Yeah. Post hardcore emo yacht dad.
I'm just trying to think of how far we can expand it.
Yeah.
How far out can we get?
Yeah, for sure. But it's it's really just good knee slapping, dance music, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Have a good time,
Yeah, I was that just brought to mind, like, I watched Monterey Pop, the movie, yesterday. I was kind of showing it to my wife and my son, because he's interested in 60s music a little bit. He likes Dylan and that's my influence or whatever, and he's curious about the Dead or whatever, and I had been wanting to watch it and rewatch it, and so I did, and he was curious about Janis too, and we put it on, and it was like the Who are on there, and they go wild and they smash all their stuff, and then just a little bit later Jimmy does too, and it was my wife was like, this doesn't vibe with the like peace and love thing, and then we were talking about the fashion a little bit too, and it was like, oh yeah, you got these, it's like that this person's dressed up like a freak, but they're right next to this person who probably looks like your typical 60s straight person, and it really doesn't look that different. I think now, through the lens now, everything's sort of spread out in a further way where you can identify someone so much better. At that time, it was like, oh, well, maybe their hair was just over their ears. That person's a freak or a weirdo or a head. And then, and I was just going, well, I think the deal here is just like expression.
Yeah, I agree.
There was, it could go from, there were some big right turns where it went from like Simon and Garfunkel or to like Canned Heat to Hugh Masekela, and there were a lot of things going on. And then,
well, it was peace and love too, but there also was a lot of things to be angry about.
Sure,
at that time, and so that's artistic freedom and Jimmy smashing his guitar, lighting it on fire, on the stage and stuff, it's like, that's art, that's art. And there was a message, behind, all of it, I'm sure, I'm sure.
Yeah. There was, and it was also like, I mean, this is showmanship. Everyone's kind of, the Who and Jimmy like knew each other, but they weren't really big. That was only the Who's second performance in the U.S.
And he had just that was one of his first in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right.
Or at least
coming back,
coming back. But he had been in London, and they knew each other, and he knew what they were about to do, and they were, they were having a coin flip about who was going to play first and who was going to play last. No one wanted to follow the other, and so he knew what they were going to do. So he probably was like, "Well, I'm following the Who. I probably better amp it up a little bit." No one ever mentions the band that played between them.
Yeah, who was the band that played between them?
Grateful Dead.
The Dead played between the Who and Jimmy at Monterey Pop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And nobody talks about that.
No one.
That is great.
No one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like not mentioned anywhere except from the Dead's perspective,
Sure.
which was like, well, we had a good time, but
we didn't bust
there was kind of big shit going on either side, so no one really noticed.
Yeah.
And then to think like there was, I mean, I've always thought of the Who as kind of like proto punk, especially they played My Generation. That's great, but like there was MC5 or Iggy and the Stooges, I think were might have been going by that time, and like there was sort of some signs of people being a little more hard edged and aggressive. But again, you could kind of you might have gone to a show at that time and seen all of those bands on the same bill, and you might not have thought much of it.
No, you wouldn't have. Yeah, you probably wouldn't have. Yeah, and you might have left there with a different perspective. Yeah.
And so all this to say, I think it's like kind of cool to be able to have a band that does hit on all these touchstones. You don't have to necessarily feel like, oh well, I'm a kid from Bottom, Texas. I've got this drawl. I must sound like this, or I have to, live inside this box. And I think it's great to go, I like all this. I was exposed to this, and this kind of music.
Yep.
I want to create this, and this kind of music. And it's a little bit of you don't have to dumb things down.
Yeah.
For a crowd.
Yeah.
You can go.
Well, we had a real identity crisis through all of this. Like, I don't know, like if even just starting out, I guess just all the things you don't know what you don't know, and and if we're trying to make it or just be discovered or whatever, it's like you almost were like, it felt like we were kind of being pigeonholed into like, well, are you going to be a red dirt band in Texas, or are you going to be like a country act, but like we, even once things had kind of progressed a little bit, we still got a full-time mandolin, full-time acoustic guitar, but we would get told that like we're not country enough to go play a place, and we're like, well, we know we're not country enough. Y'all asked if we would submit, or whatever. Yeah. And so like we had this real thing where we're kind of like, I don't know what we are for a while, it was just kind of weird. And so then we just had kind of landed on this, like, just like, well, I guess it's like Americana, Americana folk rock, type thing, but like I said, it's just evolved, but I feel like we have carved out our own lane, and like there aren't just a whole lot of bands, especially like, local or in our area or whatever, that like sound like us. I think we definitely have a unique sound, which it can be hard to achieve, in this day and age. And so, like I said, you get a little bit of everything. Sometimes it's just like, whoa, like this is kind of wild.
There's nothing that I hear from you that says to me you wouldn't be accepted in the red dirt scene.
Yeah, but we will play like an 11-minute sand.
I don't see any like problem with that though. Like, because I've been, from my perspective, and I've been in that scene a little bit, but it was like, okay, well, these guys are the they are Red Dirt, but their focus is more on indie rock, or these guys like Southern rock, or these guys are more country, these guys are more rock and roll. It's, to me, what that scene is sort of an inclusive, come on in, and like, I can understand the venues. I can understand from that perspective. And I'm putting quotes in the air, everybody, country venues with the indie rock or with kind of the jammy Red Dirt band, and, a big old dance floor with either people just standing around on it or people in their seats going, well, I don't know what to do with this. But the minute you play a familiar, if we had a hit song or something, you play it, or you play a familiar shuffle or something, people would get up and dance all of a sudden. And I would be like, what was that? What just happened?
Yep.
Why did people just get up? And they're like, oh, well, they always dance to that one. I was like, well, we need more of that. Let's have more of those.
So I'll agree with you on that. I don't think I've taken the time to have the consideration or the thought that Red Dirt is as inclusive as you've described, but I do see more of that now. You've kind of opened my eyes up to that a little bit, and I've also had been in that scene just as a fan, for so long. I do see that, and there are, I would make comparisons at times, like Whiskey Myers, is a comparison.
It came to mind.
Treaty Oak, they're kind of a new, up and coming rockin', Red Dirt group.
Seen the name, but I haven't heard it.
Yeah. And so there are some other acts that are, in the realm for sure, I would say. I mean, you just kind of gave me a little aha moment, that maybe there is still a little bit of a lane there, or potential spot.
Well, TMR was just, the Texas Music Revolution was just a couple weeks ago. And but if they could get, and like maybe they have before, but like if they could land Sturgill Simpson or something like that, then certainly that would be, that's a touchstone for you, right?
Right.
Because what I hear a lot of that, and what no one ever says Heartland rock anymore, or at least I don't hear it, because to me that's sort of what they were calling it in the 80s. But to me that's, Bruce and Tom Petty and maybe Mellencamp. And like, but I hear that in Steve Earle, and I hear that in Dave Alvin, things like that, and I hear that in the in a lot of places. I hear that sound, but I don't always hear it identified as that. And I don't get too into music identification.
I know.
It's like,
I know the whole genre, subgenre, sub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It gets to be a beating. It gets to be a beating at times. But no, I mean, one thing we haven't, I don't know, I feel like for what it is, I'm happy, with everything we've done. And I'm still so, floored by any and every opportunity, honestly, that like we get, I get giddy and so excited about these things, because it seems so far out of reach for so long, or like it would never happen, or that was not going to be a thing for me, but it's cool. And, also, just on the songwriter tip, I mean, I write a lot of songs too that will never be map songs,
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. And so that's a thing too. And like, I've been having this kind of just this, internal struggle thing too. I'm probably the only one that thinks about it, but like, like if you come to a solo show, you're definitely going to hear map songs, but you're also going to hear songs that are new that, I've written, or whatever old that I've written that the band would probably never play, or and so it's different, and it's obviously with me, my solo shows is just me and acoustic guitar, and so that's different. Even versions of songs that it's the acoustic version of here's the map tune, type thing. So I feel like I've been trying to kind of draw a line that that, and just kind of separate that a little bit, because I also I got some good songs, and I also would like to song swap with people, and play with some other songwriters, and really kind of start getting maybe just more into those circles a little bit more also.
I've thought about that too. Let's say someone like Patterson Hood or something, Drive By Truckers, it's like, for all intents and purposes, that is his band. And he is the creative engine. But it also has this sound. It has this identity. And then so he has this need to have this side project.
Yep.
Just to not be able to be like, well, this doesn't really suit this band. And that's, it's an interesting thought to be like, well, dude, I mean, you're the guy, you could call it anything, but it is kind of your songs, but I understand what happens there.
Yeah. And it's weird because I don't sit out to like write a map song or to write a Mason Adams song or whatever, I'm just writing a song. And then if it ends up feeling like it's, going to be a map song, like that's great. And if it doesn't, then that's okay. Yeah. Also, there's also, I have just ideas of, doing duo stuff with just a piano, and, just getting to other, projects and kind of things down the line, that I think would be pretty and fun, and, just kind of show a different side, I feel like, if everything goes the way I want it to go here, that I anticipate that like we're good, and we've, the band is together and we're about to get out and start playing shows, then maybe, maybe there's a little bit more, I don't know, time to kind of focus on, other things at some point or something, like right now, all of my everything I'm trying to channel into the band, because this is the, it was triage moment, that we just needed to come back. And also as a performer, I mean, I haven't played a band show since January, and I'm like chomping at the bit to come play a rock and roll show. The solo shows are great. I've been having a blast with those. I've been playing a lot. This week I've got a couple of them, so it's good. It's fun. It's a way to still get out there and play and perform and play new songs, but I'm everything right now is just like channeled to full band and getting it back going and just pushing forward.
You teach?
Yeah, I'm a school teacher.
Yeah. Where at?
So I teach in Garland at a charter school. It's a public charter.
What do you teach?
Special education. So I taught business for a few years. I was like coaching varsity sports, football, and some basketball.
Were you an athlete?
Golf. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I played a lot in school, tennis and powerlifting and football. Played a couple of years of college football at McPherson College in Kansas.
Cool.
That's where I graduated from ultimately, but only played for a couple of years. But yeah, I mean, that was, really had always been a part of organized sports and teams and things, right? And so naturally, I don't know, I got a business degree. I think I wanted to do something different along the lines of maybe like restaurant or hospitality management, these type of things for a while. But then I kind of got a taste of that, like being a club manager and not getting home till 4:00 in the morning and having a kid and all that. I'm like, this is not healthy and not going to work long term. I think I always knew that I would be an educator. My mom taught for 40 years. And so it's kind of in my blood. And anyway, so, was teaching and coaching. And that was, I love it. But it's like 70, 80 hours a week during football season at Texas high school football. You know, it's a real deal. And it's, you know, it just gets to be long and a lot. And so, you know, truly, I mean, like at my school, we have, they have flag football. They play in the charter, league in Texas. You know, if there was 11-man football going on, it would be hard to like sit in there and not want to be a part of it. You know, I think that has kind of helped. But obviously, like the band is like the team. You know, like that has totally scratched that itch. You know, just having everybody, you know, unified, pulling together for a common goal. You know,
if this was to become a success, would you want to leave teaching behind? Is that
I mean, yes. I try not to think too wild like that, you know, like just like, you know, I don't know, because the longer you do this, the more you know how hard it takes to get that break or to get to the point where you're like, I'm going to take this leap, you know, and like, hopefully it works out. Like I think everybody's got a point that they're kind of like, well, if we get to this point, maybe that would be a leap, you know, type moment or spot or something, you know? So I try not to look too far into the future like that. Like the goal right now is just to have a working band. Like that's it, you know, just to have a working band and just go rock and roll and like be able to, you know, be the support act for these regional and touring bands when they're coming through that are like in our lane and stuff, you know, and, you know, just kind of try to dominate regionally, you know, and, you know, not try to, you know, overdo it. We're not built to like go on any long tours or anything right now. We could be, and, you know, I'm a teacher, so I have time, you know, and, you know, it's not to say that we couldn't or wouldn't, shouldn't, whatever, but, you know, the goal is to, I don't know, maybe not be 100%, supported by music, but just to have music be definitely, you know, a supplement, you know, and an outlet, you know, and an outlet, you know, I don't, you know, we don't make a lot of money, you know, but we don't lose, you know, it's you know, give and take, you know, you know? And that's part of it too, right? Like, I don't know that everybody truly has a grasp on how hard and difficult it is to band. Like banding is hard. And it takes a lot of commitment from all parties involved to keep it going, you know, and, you know, the feelings and, you know, the decisions and, you know, everything of one member sometimes can have a greater effect on a larger group, you know, and it's just like herding cats sometimes, right? Just trying to keep the things together and stuff. But, you know, just, you know, we're adults. And so everybody's got jobs and responsibilities and, you know, so it's about, you know, when you're an adult, if you truly want to do something, you make the time to do that because you don't just have extra time, you know, like this is important to me. So I know that this week, every week, I'm rehearsing with my band. And I know that, you know, right now our goals are still going to be, you know, 2 to 3, you know, local-ish shows per month. You know, we're not trying to overdo it, you know, right now. And so, yeah, then that's feasible for everybody. You know, and so just, yeah.
You got a time frame in mind of when?
September. I mean, we got September 6th. We got asked if we would like to do a comeback show. You know, it's kind of like, well, do we want to wait that long? But also it's kind of like, well, we could just wait that long. And there's vacations, summer vacations and things too, right? So I was like, really, September will be here before you know it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, September 6th, you know, keep a lookout. I think we'll probably end up committing to something like that. Yeah. It'll be close, you know, so yeah.
At a certain venue, maybe?
At a certain venue, yeah.
One familiar to all of us?
One familiar, yeah, in a very familiar artsy area of downtown Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I foresee something happening then. We kind of thought about like, well, could we do some sort of soft launch, like go play somewhere in Arlington or, a thing
Party,
like that.
A private event would be cool.
Yeah, a little private thing would be good or something, but also like, we're building right. Like right now, like we're, I mean, we could go do 90 minutes tomorrow, if we had to, like, right, if we were under the gun, we could go do 90 minutes tomorrow and it'd be a little like, a little weird or something, at times or whatever. But, we, for I don't know. It's so weird how shows are sold, booked, and at things sometimes these days, right? Like if you're like a headliner with 3 bands, maybe you only play 75 minutes or 90 minutes or something, right? And so, but like kind of our show is like, we need at least 90. And so it's like, I don't know, we don't really just want to like to show up to go play an hour. Not that we won't, not that it, but we also just would prefer to have 90. And then even the places that are kind of like, well, can we have 3 45-minute sets? We're still gonna try to negotiate 2 75s or 2 90s, with a set break. We'd rather it be a 2-setter and play longer sets than short, and that's what the map show is gonna be. I mean, once, if we get to that point where, we're selling a lot of tickets and whatever, a map show is going to be a 2-set show, with a set break and
the format.
Yeah, a format. Yeah, the format, So, the goal is right now too, is just to get all this material in, because we're very much in the line of, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready type thing, but also, like, the more comfortable we just get with the overall song and the structure and all that, then that's when you can start, doing the creative stuff, like playing the sandwiches and the siegs and segues and, getting cool with it, and so, that's just trying to get all this material in so that when we do our For Sure I in this comeback show, then I can say, okay, this is what we've got in. Let me write this comeback set list. That's going to be really cool, type thing. And then we'll have, some time to prepare for that or, whatever. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I'm excited for it. I'm glad that you kind of got that, solidified. I know you were working toward it. And again, I know the feeling that it just nag at you when it's not, it's not all there, but I'm glad it's coming together and you got your, guys. And I think the longer you do it, the more you understand that it is just accepting change, moving forward, and go, and knowing that nothing, this current lineup, may it last forever, right. But chances are it won't.
Right.
And you have to just be willing to go, all right, change happens and we keep moving, and hopefully it's not as like big as a stumbling
right.
block or whatever, right. as it has been, because you don't want to take, no one wants the January to September gap.
No, it's such a long gap.
Yeah,
such a long gap.
So hopefully you get it back on the road and get it going.
It won't be long. We're here now.
Well, I'm excited for it, man. I hope to catch it soon.
So it's Jordan Stoltz on lead guitar, Sean Gilder on bass, Jonas Shelton on keys, and George Ruiz on drums. So follow those guys and check them out as well.
Map. Man, go check it out. Everybody support your local jam band, your local singer-songwriter, your country boy making his hillbilly hippie funk. Thanks for coming by, Mason.
Thanks,
I appreciate
dude.
you, man.
What a pleasure.
Yeah.